Chair lays out House Bill 2512 by Representative and recognizes the Senate sponsor, Senator King, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Just by way of background, so the city of Fort Worth is one of the fastest growing communities in America. With that growth being particularly toward the west, there are several large ranches and other properties that have been assembled by some really some really good development proceeding. And prior to that, there was a lot of infrastructure work that had to be done. The city of Fort Worth has entered into development agreements with those large estates and invested over $250 million in running water and other infrastructure out to there. With last session's passage of Senate Bill 2038, which was a great bill to allow residents and majority of landowners to remove their property from an ETJ by petition or election, it's created a couple of concerns for the city of Fort Worth relative to that large infrastructure investment they have made in anticipation of development. In particular, this bill seeks to address these concerns by adding the following to the list of land exempt from the ETJ release statute. And by the way, I understand the Texas Association of Builders has worked in drafting these with the city and is in agreement with them. The three additional exemptions would be: one, land subject to an active development agreement within the city of Fort Worth ETJ, and again, this is a bill that would be local for Fort Worth only, would be exempt. Lots less than 12 acres and platted subdivisions of 25 or more lots in a single lot. These changes would protect the city of Fort Worth's investment in critical infrastructure for land subject to development agreements and ensure efficient provision of services by all municipalities. It is my understanding that the city of Fort Worth, as I mentioned, worked with the Builders Association of Builders to draft this language, and it's agreed upon. And I believe the bill passed out of the House 112 to 21. And I also believe that the city of Fort Worth has a resource witness here that can go into much more detail.
All right, thank you, Senator King. Any questions, Senator King, on House Bill 2512? Hearing none, we'll open up public testimony. We do have testimony on, for, and against. We'll call up Dana, is it Berghoff? Okay. James Quintero, Nate Criswell. You can hang there, Senator.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, how are you?
Everybody fill in around.
Morning, good.
Dana, why don't you state your name, who you represent?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Chairman. Dana Bergdorf, Assistant City Manager with the City of Fort Worth, here to speak in support.
Okay. City is officially supporting. Nate, if you're ready, why don't you state your name?
Yes, sir. My name is Nate Criswell.
Thank you, Nate. And you're representing yourself?
Yes, sir. Representing myself.
All right. Please start your testimony.
Sure. Chairman and esteemed members of the committee, thank you for your service on the Local Government Committee and for granting me the opportunity to address House Bill 2512. I respectfully urge you to reject this bill in its current form, as its provisions undermine the property rights of Texans and reverse the progress achieved through Chairman Betancourt's SB 2038 from last session. SB 2038 empowered residents in the ETJ to petition for release, which was a major victory for our property rights. Many Texans never consented to being placed in the ETJ. Often, we only discover our status when municipal regulations interfere with our plans for our private property. For some, like a retired couple I know outside Granbury, these restrictions can shatter lifelong dreams. This couple purchased a 3.5-acre homestead, envisioning a self-reliant life with a garden, chickens, off-grid power, and a private water well. However, the city of Granbury denied their well permit, citing local ordinances and the fact that they already had water service available through a local provider. Concerned about water quality and contaminants, they were devastated until they learned of SB 2038 2 years ago. Since then, they petitioned for release from the ETJ and are now living their dream. The passage of this bill would jeopardize that for others. Not everyone has a cute story about why they want out of the ETJ. For my wife and I, who live on 1 acre in Granbury's ETJ, We simply want to be left alone. We don't want to be regulated by the city. We also don't want the potential for annexation into city limits and the higher property taxes that would come along with it. Petitioning for the release from the ETJ gives us peace of mind and leaves us with one less layer of government to deal with. And while I acknowledge Representative Guerin's intent to address infrastructure concerns for Fort Worth, those added provisions in the HB 2512 are unnecessary to achieve that goal. I respectfully urge you to protect Texans' property rights by rejecting HB 2512 as written. If the committee believes the bill is necessary.
You had testified, you signed up to be on, which is either for or against.
I would like to keep it on because if we strike subsection 7 and 8 and section 1 and 2, that I think achieves a balance between private property rights.
What's subsection, which one?
I'm sorry, subsections 7 and 8 of section 1 and 2 of the bill.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And by the way, Granbury is safe, okay? We've won several court cases recently, so so you'll be able to have peace of mind in Granbury no matter what, because just wanted to make sure you knew that. All right, James, state your name, who you represent. That's obvious.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is James Quintero. I represent the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Thank you for the opportunity to speak against HB 2512. Before I begin, let me just say that it's very rare that I find myself opposed to a measure from Chairman King, and that after speaking with his office, I actually feel very confident that we're philosophically aligned on the broader ETJ matter. I also agree with the intent of the legislation, which is to fine-tune the ETJ release process that was established last session. In fact, the rationale for continued improvement is even stronger right now because the Texas Supreme Court just ruled earlier this month that the provisions put forward in SB 2038 were valid and sound. And so, unfortunately, the court did not rule on the broader constitutional claim, but the protections that were established were good. What this means is that there is a pathway out from unilateral municipal control that is accessible to most Texans, and it's incumbent upon the legislature to preserve it. My concern with the bill before the committee today is that the approach here erodes those newly established protections for certain segments of the population, leaving some Texans subject to city government that they did not elect, nor can they influence. I'm also concerned that while the bill is narrowly tailored to one or a few munis, it creates a precedent for other large cities to follow in the future. And I think that would reverse a lot of the hard-fought gains that were put into place last session. So for those two reasons in particular, I want to encourage the committee.
James, you're talking about a legal precedent or just an organizational one, that there's a tailored exemption so that there could be another one for another city?
Yes, sir. A statutory precedent that other cities are going to seek to exploit in future legislative sessions.
Well, since you guys are philosophically aligned, you can continue the discussion. Senator King, do you want to close at this point?
Yes, I did want to make one correction, and it's and I'm sorry, I forgot your last name.
Criswell.
To Mr. Criswell's statement, and he is correct. So the bill is local to Fort Worth for the protection of the ETJ in the areas where they've have an active development agreement in place. That's specific to Fort Worth. It's a local bill. The two sections that you referred to, or sections 7 and 8, are statewide, and that's more the Swiss cheese concern. I think it's been labeled. Where you might have stranded sections within an existing development in a city that could remove, or within an ETJ that could remove themselves from that development and create kind of a Swiss cheese problem, make it difficult for the city to eventually provide services there. Those are statewide, but the active development agreement section is specific to Fort Worth only. Thank you for correcting me on that, too.
All right, thank you all for your testimony. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on against House Bill 2512? Here